What actor/actress was completely 100% wrong for the role? Ferdia sure is Artemis Fowl. He conveys none of the intelligence, shrewdness or endless determination of the book character. He comes across as a child dressed up in a suit and handed cue cards with smart sounding lines to read unconvincingly. He's a child, so I'm going to lay the blame for that one on the casting director. Now that was the movie creator/Disney deciding the book wasn't safe enough. They completely butchered the character. From the first scene to the last. They butchered the rest of the movie too, changed the story completely, and then didn't want to spend the money to reshoot it and make it coherent at all. His last line in the movie, "I'm Artemis Fowl, and I'm a criminal mastermind," was so absolutely ridiculous because he just wasn't. He was in the book though. I never understand this. They pay millions for the rights to a wildly successful, well-selling book, and then are like, okay, let's just change the entire story and keep the aesthetic. Then they wonder why the film flops, and fans of the book call it dog s. Terry Pratchett stopped dealing with movie suits because of what they wanted to do. If they could get the movie rights for his book Mort. Mort is a book about a boy who becomes Death's apprentice at a job fair, like the literal death, and he ends up moving into Death's house, meeting his family, failing to do the job he's supposed to do because he starts crushing on someone who is supposed to die, and consequently causing a reality-based catastrophe as reality itself attempts to change to fix his f-ups. They wanted to remove the character Death from the movie adaptation. Death from Mort. The character is arguably more important to the story than Mort himself, and they were going to remove him. ____. Pratchett would be so pissed about what they've turned the Watch into on that new series. They effing what? How? Why? At that point, why even buy the rights to the series? You're making a completely different movie. Jon Voight as a snake hunter in Anaconda is fine, but him as a Paraguayan snake hunter? Just, why lol? Because he learned his accent from his maid, who was probably not even from Paraguay. Fun movie, but he was ridiculous in it. No, Mr. Anaconda no home, no. Joel McHale as Roy in the ill-fated US remake of The It Crowd. We want a scruffy and misanthropic it nerd, so let's get an actor known for charisma and confidence. Okay, my favorite thing about it was that they couldn't recast Moss, so they just kept Richard Ayoade. It's literally just Moss moved to America and living the same life as he did in the UK show. I actually want to watch it just to see Moss in America now. It's only a pilot and is basically a shot-for-shot remake of the UK pilot, but they Americanized the Id Room to make it nerdy cool as well. John Dorian as Drive. Aquila. He is way too hammy and not very threatening for a vampire who is behind loads of mysterious deaths in the hospital. He clearly only got the part because he wrote the darn script for it. It was also a very racist filming process where multiple times Chris Turk was told to act blacker. In good conscience, I can't support the film. A great ending for the movie though. I mean, it's really impressive when the name Drive Aquila comes on screen and they remove the dot, squeeze the words together and revealed Dracula. Simply amazing. Yeah, that's the same level as Brian in Family Guy, where he calls his protagonist Norm so fat he can reveal at some point in the book the guy is just normal. Mickey Rooney as Mr. Uniashi. I think I remember that film. As I recall, I think. Botana Lightning. And I said, well, that's the one thing we got. Jazzy little guitar solo. Both Lily James and Armie Hammer in the Rebecca remake. She's way too confident to be the narrator and he's way too smarmy to be Dee Winter. And I thought that before all the creepy stuff about him came out. Now it's even worse to try to watch. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but Sophie Turner as Jane Grey. I like her as an actress, but I just couldn't get into it. I felt like she struggled with hiding her accent. I hate it when she tries to do an American accent of any kind in roles. It's so terrible. I love her and normally don't care or notice when English actors do American accents, but hers just always sticks out. She does at least 3 different accents in this trailer alone. 2 different accents in the first sentence she says. It's kind of cool listening to it change midway through her first sentence. Her southern accent is crazy bad. Tease Nick Cage and Con Air level of bad southern accent. I'm Josie sounds sort of Australian, and I just moved in the other night as some kind of southern accent. Jaffa in the new Aladdin. He wasn't believable or menacing and way too young. Plus for much of his screen time he's standing next to Navad Negaban, who would have been a much better choice. Colin Farrell as Alexander the Great. As one of my old university professors once said, I wouldn't follow that guy to the end of my driveway. You can't talk about Oliver Stone's Alexander without mentioning that the madman has 4 different director's cuts of the film. I swear there's a good movie in there. Just give me another shot. One of the cuts has a short message at the beginning saying that this is the most complete version because there is nothing left to add to it. It's literally every single scene they shot. I don't know. It always struck me as being sort of like a sculptor trying to submit a solid block of marble as a finished statue. I wonder if the best version of Alexander would be one that's 2 hours long. Cameron Diaz was horrible in the 2014 Annie remake. She hasn't made a movie since. To be fair, anyone would look terrible in comparison to Carol Burnett's Miss Hannigan. There is a moment where she stares thoughtfully at a painting, hung perfectly straight on the wall, before tilting it slightly so it looks level in her drunken state. I have no idea if that was in the script or something she did in the moment, but it's perfect. Her performance is a masterpiece. Kevin Hart as Roland in the upcoming Borderlands movie. Everyone who knows anything about Borderlands will agree with me. Terry Crews should be playing Roland. He's big, has comedic chops, and can play the no-nonsense straight shooter badass when everything else is wild. Terry Crews should be playing Mr. Talk. This is what I have been saying to everyone who will listen, even if they have no effing idea what I'm talking about. Every actress cast as Sue Richards, the Invisible Woman, from the Fantastic Four so far. The problem there is always trying to make the F4 into action movie protagonists when they really aren't. You really need something like a scientific-based disaster movie for them to really shine. Any film with 30-year-olds playing teens. Pretty much everyone from the Percy Jackson movies. FTFY, pretty much everyone from everything in the Percy Jackson movie when the author of the books is actually recommending not to watch the film, so it won't give his books a bad name. To be fair, I watched the movie before reading the books at probably age 11. Maybe. I enjoyed the movie not knowing about the source material at all. My dad brought home the first 3 books in the series as a surprise for me a week later, and we both realized how laughably different the book and movie were. So, the movie still brought new readers into the series, no matter how bad it was. Had the same experience with the Miss Peregrine series. Enjoyed the movie, got the books as a gift, and boy did that change my perspective on the movie. This might be less obvious, but I hate Dwayne Johnson's portrayal of Hercules. He has the perfect body for it, yes, but it doesn't mean he embodies the character. I have the perfect body to play Lemony Snicket, but doesn't mean I should. Dane DeHaan, Valerian. That move is pretty awesome except for him. It felt entirely miscast, and I couldn't believe this guy was the kind of character they were making him out to be. I'd say both him and Cara Delevingne. They had absolutely no chemistry together. There was a post somewhere on Reddit that said DeHaan and Delevingne in Passengers and Pratt and Lawrence in Valerian would have been better casting for both movies. John Wayne as Genghis Khan, the Conqueror. That is just wrong on so many levels. I don't know where to start. Hello Tartar woman. I am Temujin. Pilgrim. When he says my Tartar blood says take her, I actually laughed aloud. To be fair, nobody could convincingly deliver that line. That's on the writers. Cameron Diaz in Gangs of New York. It's the only time I've really been pulled out of a move because the casting didn't seem right. That was definition a studio decision. Pretty sure Marty wanted someone else. Just did some digging. And it sounds like you're right. Apparently the original choices were Sarah Michelle Gellar, turned it down over scheduling issues, and Sarah Polley. Why the F was Jesse Eisenberg cast as Lex Luthor of all effing things? All depictions of him are of a tall, bald, and lean businessman. No disrespect for the actor. I'd take such a high paying job too. But whoever thought of casting him as a clown? Jesse Eisenberg was cast as Lex Luthor, but he delivered an Edward Nygma. That was my first thought. After watching that movie, he's a fantastic Riddler.